I killed my family's legacy with a single keystroke. Watching the empire they built on my broken back crumble into digital ash while they slept in their McMansion beds. It wasn't murder. Not in the legal sense, no bodies. No bullets. Just the slow bleed of truth spilling out like bad coffee on a white-collar shirt, staining everything they touched. And the worst part? I'd do it again. Even if it meant dragging my own soul through the mud of small-town Alabama gossip mills. Because betrayal isn't just a word, it's the knife they twisted in my gut when I was 17, bleeding out on a gurney. And they turned away like I was yesterday's trash. That night in the ER still haunts me like a bad country song stuck on repeat. I was Gemma Hargrove back then, the good daughter. The one who aced AP Bio and volunteered at the church soup kitchen because Mom said it looked good on college apps. Dad was the king of Hargrove Hardware, a chain of stores dotting the Bible Belt from Mobile to Montgomery, selling everything from power tools to patriotic flags that fluttered like false promises. They were the picture of Southern success, Dad with his trucker hat and firm handshake, Mom with her pearl necklace and passive-aggressive sighs. But under the surface, our family was a powder keg of secrets, and I was the fuse they lit without a second thought. It started with a crash, tires screeching on rain-slicked Highway 98, the kind of storm that turns country roads into rivers of regret. I was driving Dad's old Ford F-150, hauling a load of lumber from the warehouse because he was too busy closing a deal with some Atlanta investor. The truck hydroplaned, flipped twice, and landed me in a ditch with a shattered femur and a concussion that made the world spin like a bad acid trip. By the time the paramedics pried me out, I was screaming for Mom and Dad, my voice raw as the gravel embedded in my palms. They showed up at the hospital 2 hours later, Dad reeking of bourbon, Mom scrolling her phone like she was waiting for an Uber. Gemma. Honey, Mom said, not even looking up from her screen. You're 18 next month. Deal with it yourself. You're not a child anymore. Her words hit harder than the airbag. Deal with it? I was pinned under twisted metal, doped up on morphine, and she was worried about her Pinterest board for the annual church bazaar. Dad just grunted, checked his watch, and muttered something about insurance premiums. They left me there with a pat on the head and a promise to sort it tomorrow, vanishing into the night like ghosts who'd already mourned me. The doctors stitched me up, set the bone, and sent me home in a wheelchair. But the real fracture was in my trust. For weeks, I hobbled around our sprawling ranch-style house on the outskirts of Fairhope, popping Vicodin like candy and piecing together the whispers. Turns out, that lumber haul wasn't just any delivery. Dad had been skimming from the business, fudging invoices, underreporting taxes to the IRS, turning Hargrove Hardware into a front for laundering cash from some shady real estate flips with his golf buddy, Harlan Crow. Harlan, the silver-tongued devil with a yacht docked in Mobile Bay and a reputation for burying bodies under boardroom deals. And me? I was the fall guy. The truck was registered in my name, Dad's gift for my birthday. He'd said with a wink. The manifest listed me as the driver, even though I'd never logged a mile without his say-so. When the feds started sniffing around after the crash, a witness saw the truck swerving erratically. Assumed DUI. Dad pinned it all on me. Teenage mistake, he told the investigator over coffee at the diner. Gemma's got a wild streak. Probably snuck a beer or two. I hadn't touched a drop, hell. I was the designated driver for family barbecues, but who cared? I was the expendable one. The daughter who'd take the heat to keep the empire afloat. Mom knew? Of course. She always did. Her deal with it wasn't abandonment, it was complicity. A cold calculation wrapped in maternal lace. She'd covered for Dad's indiscretions since I was a kid, hiding his affair with the bookkeeper, faking alibis for his late nights at the office. But this? Framing your own blood for felony tax evasion and reckless endangerment. That was a new low, even for the Hargroves. I found the proof in Dad's study one morphine-fueled night. A burner phone with text to Harlan. Kid's perfect patsy. Crash seals it. We walk. And Mom's reply, just make sure she doesn't talk. Therapy bills are expensive. Rage doesn't build slow in the South. It simmers like gumbo left too long on the stove. Then explodes in a fireball of sweet tea and spite. I played the part at first, smiling through physical therapy, nodding at church ladies who cooed about my miracle recovery. But inside, I was plotting. College? Deferred. Job at the store? Quit after Dad accidentally shorted my paycheck. I moved into a cramped apartment above a laundromat in downtown Fairhope, slinging coffee at the beanery to pay rent, all while digging. Late nights with a laptop borrowed from the library, cross-referencing public records, hacking basic firewalls with tutorials from YouTube, nothing fancy, just enough to peek at Hargrove's QuickBooks. Harlan Crow was the key. He wasn't just Dad's partner. He was the spider in the web, a real estate mogul who'd turned half of Baldwin County into luxury condos for snowbirds fleeing Yankee winters. Charming as a televangelist, ruthless as a foreclosure notice. I'd seen him at family dinners, regaling us with tales of deals that built America, while his eyes appraised me like chattel. What I didn't know then was how deep his hooks were in our bloodline. Turns out, Harlan wasn't just laundering Dad's dirty money. He'd been grooming my older brother, Jake, as his protégé. Jake, the golden boy who'd skipped town for Vanderbilt on a full ride, only to drop out and resurface as Harlan's errand boy in Nashville. Jake knew about the frame job. Hell, he'd suggested it. A text I uncovered in Dad's files. Use Gemma. She's too soft to fight back. Keeps the heat off me. My brother. The one I'd covered for when he wrecked Mom's Cadillac at 16. The one who'd promised to always have my back. Betrayal layered on betrayal. Like onions in a po' boy that make your eyes water. I confronted him over burner Skype one humid August night. My screen glitching like my heartbeat. Gem. It's not personal, Jake drawled, his face pixelated but smug, nursing a beer on what looked like Harlan's balcony overlooking the Cumberland River. Business is business. Dad needed a scapegoat. And you. Well, you were there. There? I was driving your screw-up. Jake. That lumber was for your coke-fueled flip with Harlan, turning abandoned mills into lofts, while snorting lines off the blueprints. He laughed. That easy southern chuckle that used to charm teachers into extra credit. Details. Cease. Look. Harlan's got plans for you too. Come to Nashville. We'll set you up nice apartment. Allowance. Family sticks together. Right? Family. The word tasted like bile. I hung up, smashed the laptop against the wall, and cried until dawn broke over the bay, painting the water the color of spilled oil. That's when the plan crystallized. Not just survival, but scorched earth. I'd prove them wrong, not by forgiving, but by dismantling the lie brick by brick. Starting with Harlan, the puppet master who flipped loyalties like pancakes at a diner. My first move was subtle, the kind of southern passive-aggressive that cuts deeper than a switchblade. I anonymous tipped the mobile register about irregularities at Hargrove Hardware, nothing concrete, just enough to spark an audit. Dad called me the next day, voice tight as a banjo string. Gemma, what the hell? You stirring shit. Me? I'm just a barista.
Dad.
Pouring lattes and minding my business. I hung up to his sputtering, then drove to the county clerk's office in my beat-up Civic. Charm smiling my way into microfiche records on Harlan's land deals. Buried in yellowed deeds was the secret they'd all chanted to keep 20 years ago. Harlan hadn't just bought up properties, he'd covered a hit-and-run that killed a migrant worker on one of his sites. Dad was the witness, the one who'd lied to the cops for a cut of the profits. And Mom? She'd been the nurse who lost the toxicology report, her ER shift conveniently overlapping the cover-up. The crime I'd borne? It wasn't just the frame job, it was the original sin they'd hung around my neck like a millstone. As a kid, I'd overheard whispers, seen Dad's haunted eyes after too much Jack. But they'd gaslit me. Just business talk. Sugar, until I doubted my own ears.
Now,
with the pieces fitting like a jigsaw from hell, I knew my crash was karma's echo, the universe demanding payment on a debt I never owed. Harlan flipped first. As schemers do, loyalty's just a prop in their theater of greed. I met him at a dive bar off I-10. The kind where truckers nurse hangovers and jukeboxes wail Hank Williams Jr. about mamas and memory lane. He slid into the booth uninvited, all pressed khakis and cologne that screamed, old money pretending to be new, a manila envelope fat with hush money slapped on the scarred oak table. Gemma Hargrove, he drawled, voice like honey over gravel. You're prettier than your daddy said. And twice as troublesome. His eyes, sharp as a gator's, scanned me like I was a property listing potential, but overpriced. I sipped my Bud Light, steady as the bayou, and pushed the envelope back. Trouble's your middle name? Harlan. Or is it cover-up?
Saw the deeds.
That worker in '05, Raoul something. You buried him deeper than his coffin. He didn't flinch, just chuckled low, signaling the bartender for 2 whiskeys neat. Ancient history.
Darlin'.
Your old man drove that truck. Not me. I just facilitated. We all got skeletons in the Gulf Coast closet. The whiskey burned going down, a liquid firewall against the chill of his casual confession. He leaned in, breath hot with bourbon and bullshit. But you? Your family now. Jake's blood. And mine by extension. Walk away from this audit nonsense, and I'll make you whole. Trust fund. Condo in Gulf Shores. Hell, I'll even get your femur gold-plated. Family. There it was again. That poison chalice. I thought of Jake's texts, Dad's lies, Mom's averted gaze in the hospital fluorescent hell. Whole, I echoed, voice steady but laced with venom. You mean by my silence like you bought Dad's soul?
Pass.
I want a truth on record, notarized, the works. Raoul's family deserves that much. Harlan's mask slipped then. Just a flicker, jaw tightening like a snapped fishing line. He was a flipper. All right. 1 minute ally. Offering bribes. The next, adversary. Hissing threats about ruining lives you can't imagine. But I'd grown up on Southern veiled warnings, sweet as pecan pie, sharp as a wasp sting. I recorded it all on my phone, tucked in my bra like contraband, and walked out into the muggy night, his curses chasing me like bayou fog. Back in my laundromat airy, I transcribed every word, cross-referencing with online obits for Raul Mendoza, 32, father of 3, crushed under a beam on Harlan's site, ruled accident, faster than a judge signing off on a plea deal.
No lo sought.
No headlines, just a quiet grave and a pauper's plot outside Daphne. I drafted an email to the DA's cold case unit, anonymous as a ghost, attaching scans of the altered reports. Mom's signature was on one, her looping cursive like a noose. Sending it felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. But the fallout? That was the storm front rolling in. Dad showed up at the beanery the next morning, face purple as a bruised plum, customers scattering like minnows at a heron's shadow. "You little bitch," he snarled. Low enough not to spook the latte sippers, but venomous enough to curdle cream. Harlan called. "Said you're playing games. This ends now.
Gemma.
Or I swear." "Swear what?" "Dad? Frame me again? Ship me off to some psych ward like you did Aunt Lila when she asked too many questions." Aunt Lila, Mom's sister. The family black sheep who'd OD'd on pills after prying into the Mendoza mess. Suicide, they'd said. But I'd found her journal in the attic, the pages screaming cover-up. He grabbed my arm, fingers like vices forged in hardware aisles. But I twisted free, coffee grounds scattering like confetti at a funeral. "Touch me again, and I'll scream assault." "Cops love a good domestic in Fairhope." He stormed out, truck peeling rubber on Main Street. But not before Mom's text lit my phone. "We can fix this. Come home." For Jake.
Jake.
The brother who'd ghosted me post-crash. Too busy climbing Harlan's ladder. I drove to Nashville that weekend. Windows down. Wind whipping my hair like Medusa's snakes. Radio blasting Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats on loop. His apartment was a penthouse overlooking the honky-donks, all glass and gleam masking the rot underneath. He buzzed me up, shirtless and smug, a tattoo of a phoenix, ironic as hell, curling over his pecs.
"Sis.
You came." Hugs that felt like straitjackets. Then shots of Jack in crystal tumblers. We talked surface stuff, Vanderbilt parties, my barista burns, until the liquor loosened his tongue. Harlan's pissed.
Gem.
That tip to the DA? Amateur hour. He's got judges in his pocket deeper than the Grand Canyon.
And you?
You're cool with burying bodies, literal and figurative, for a paycheck. I pressed, voice casual as a catfish fry. He shrugged, eyes glazing like pond scum.
Gotta eat. Dad taught us that.
Remember when he made you take the fall for shoplifting that drill set at 12? Character building, he called it. Worked, didn't it? You're tougher now. Tougher. Is that what they called it when your own blood sold you out for clear conscience? I nodded. Played along. Even laughed at his Harlan impression, a spot-on mimic of the mogul's drawl promising the American dream. One deed at a time. By midnight, he was passed out on Italian leather. Phone buzzing with texts from a contact labeled HC, Harlan Crow. Handle your sister. Or I will. I didn't handle, I harvested. Snapped pics of his laptop screen, emails detailing kickbacks, wire transfers to offshore accounts, even a memo on neutralizing threats with Lila's name circled in red. Jake's flip was the ugliest yet, not just betraying me, but enabling the machine that chewed up lives like chum. As I slipped out at dawn, Nashville's skyline mocking me with its twinkling lies, I vowed the next phase wouldn't be whispers. It'd be a roar. Back home, the audit hit Hargrove like a Category 5. IRS agents swarmed the stores, seizing ledgers while Dad blustered about government overreach. Mom called daily, voice cracking like thin ice. Gemma,
please.
This'll kill your father. Kill him? They'd half killed me physically? Sure. But worse. Spiritually. Turning love into leverage. I ignored her, Focusing on the DA's reply. Thank you for the tip. Reopening Mendoza case. Any more details? Details I had in spades, but doling them out was chess, not checkers. Harlan countered with his own play, a smear campaign. Anonymous posts on Fairhope Facebook groups. Local girl Gemma H.
Viterex employé.
Spreading lies for attention. Church lady side-eyed me at the Piggly Wiggly. Old high school friends unfollowed on Insta. Isolation's a slow poison. But I'd tasted worse. Jake flipped again, showing up unannounced with flowers and apologies. Eyes wet as a baptismal font. I was wrong.
Gem.
Harlan's poison. Let me help. Inside info. Whatever you need. Help. Or honey trap. I let him in. Fed him half-truths about my settling down in Fairhope. Watched him squirm. His decisions were a carousel of controversy. One day, leaking Harlan's dirt to me. The next warning, Dad, I was unstable. He couldn't pick a side. Flipping like a politician at a pork barrel barbecue. And it made me sicker than the crash scars snaking my thigh. The tension coiled tighter than a spring in a .38. Mom attempted intervention. A tearful lunch at our old spot. The Wharf Catfish House, where the hush puppies used to fix everything. We did it for the family, she whispered. Pearls clutched like rosary beads. Your father. He panicked after the crash. Thought if you took the blame quick, it'd blow over. And Jake, he's got ambitions. We couldn't let Harlan chew him up. Chew him up? Like Raoul? Like Aunt Lila?
Or me?
Mom, I was your daughter. Not a damn shield. My fork clattered, drawing stares from the lunch rush. She flinched, but her eyes hardened. Another flip. From penitent to prosecutor. You're selfish.
Gemma.
This revenge? It'll destroy us all. Is that what you want? Your brother in jail? Your father bankrupt? For what? Pride.
Pride.
The word hung like Spanish moss. Heavy and deceptive. I left her with a check and a parting shot. No.
Mom.
Justice. But you wouldn't know the difference. That night, the calls started, Harlan's proxies. Veiled threats about accidents on lonely roads. Jake texted hourly, trust me. I'm out. Dad drank harder, the house echoing with his rages. And me, I prepped the kill shot. Fingers flying over keys in the laundromat's fluorescent hum, compiling a dossier that'd make WikiLeaks blush. But controversy brewed in my gut. Was I avenging Raoul? Or just salving my wounds? The line blurred. Decisions stacking like storm clouds. Expose Jake and risk orphaning his unborn kid. He'd knocked up some Nashville singer. Or spare him and let the rot fester. The climax brewed on All Saints' Eve. Fog rolling off Mobile Bay like a shroud. Harlan summoned me to his yacht. Southern Belle. Docked at the marina, neutral ground. He claimed, for one last deal. Jake was there, fidgeting like a kid caught with firecrackers. Dad and Mom.
2.
Faces gaunt as death masks. Harlan poured champagne that tasted like vinegar, toasting to family resolutions. Gemma. Sweetheart, Harlan began. His flip complete, from predator to peacemaker. Arms wide like a televangelist absolving sins. We've all made mistakes. Let's bury this hatchet. Sign the NDA.
Take the payout.
And we sail into sunset. Raoul's old news. No one cares anymore. The deck rocked gentle under moonlight, but the air crackled like live wire. Jake nodded fervent, eyes darting to Dad, who gripped the rail, white-knuckled. Mom hovered silent, a ghost in Chanel. I stood amidships, wind tugging my sundress, dossier USB burning in my pocket like a live coal. This was it, the revenge crossroads, where every choice split the crowd, hero or villain, saint or sinner. No, I said, voice cutting the night sharper than the bay's chill. We don't bury. We unearth. I tossed the USB overboard, a tiny splash lost to the waves, not the real one, hidden in my bra, but the symbolism landed like a gut punch. Harlan's face twisted, mask shattering into fury. You stupid girl. You think you can take us down? I own this town, judges, cops, the goddamn mayor. Your little leaks? They bounce off like rain on tin. He lunged then, not violent but desperate, grabbing for my arm like a drowning man's lifeline. Jake flipped instantaneous, shoving Harlan back. Touch her. And you're done. Old man. I told you she's off limits.
Brotherly valor?
Or self-preservation. Saving his own skin? Dad barked orders. Enough. But his voice cracked. The king dethroned. Mom wailed. Gemma. Stop this madness. As if I were the arsonist. Not the spark. The chaos erupted, Harlan radioing his security goons. Jake tackling him in a tangle of deck chairs. Dad fumbling for his phone to call off the dogs. I hit record on my hidden mic, capturing it all, the slurs, the pleas, the raw unraveling of the Hargrove Crow cartel. You framed me, I screamed over the fray, knee driving into Harlan's gut as he scrambled up. All of you, Dad's crash lie, Mom's falsified reports, Jake's coke deals. Raul Mendoza died because you chose profits over people, and I paid the price in blood and bars. The polarizing gut punch landed. Was my knee a justified strike? Or assault on a changed man begging for mercy? Readers, hell. Even I would argue till dawn. Jake pinned Harlan, sobbing. I did it for us. Gem, to escape this poison. Escape? He'd brewed it, sipped it, served it to me with a smile. Dad collapsed against the mast, whiskey bottle shattering like his facade. I was protecting you all. The business. It was our ticket out of trailer park hell. One lie snowballed. Baby girl. Forgive me. Forgive? The word was a foreign tongue. Sirens wailed distant. Marina security. Or feds I'd tipped anonymously. Mom rushed me, arms flailing. You're killing your family for a dead man you never knew. Her slap connected, cheeks stinging like truth's backlash. But I didn't flinch. Raul had a family.
Mom.
Kids who grew up fatherless because you facilitated. I know you now, enabler, not mother. Harlan broke free, staggering to the rail, flipping one last time. Fine, take it all, deeds, confessions, the yacht if you want.
Just.
Call off the dogs. Desperation's ugly, especially in a man who'd once bragged about owning the narrative. I hesitated. The deck slick with spilled champagne and sweat, the controversial crux. Expose him fully. And Jake's baby mama loses her sugar daddy. The town's economy tanks. Jobs vanish like mist. Mercy him. And the cycle spins on. Another Gemma down the line. The twist hit like a rogue wave, as cops swarmed the dock. Lights strobing the bay bloody red. Harlan tossed me a crumpled photo from his pocket, not evidence, but a faded Polaroid of me as a toddler, cradled in his arms on a beach. Dad grinning beside. Your godfather, he wheezed. Before the deals. I loved you kids like my own.
This.
It corrupted us all. Lie or lament, his eyes pleaded, and for a heartbeat, I saw the boy from the photo, innocent, unscarred. But love's no alibi for graves dug in secret. I handed the cops the real USB. Watched them cuff Harlan mid-sob, Jake wailing as they Mirandized him for conspiracy. Dad surrendered quiet. Mom catatonic in the ambulance. Jake? He flipped final, testifying against them all for immunity. His baby's future traded for a clean slate. Betrayer turned snitch. The ultimate Southern survival play. In the aftermath, Fairhope fractured like fault lines in the Gulf floor. Hargrove hardware shuttered. Auctions stripping shelves bare. Harlan's empire foreclosed. Condos reverting to weeds. Raoul's family got a settlement. Modest. But enough for college funds and a plaque at the marina. In memory of a man who built more than we knew.
Me?
Charges dropped. My frame job exposed in a 60-minute segment that painted me equal parts whistleblower and wrecking ball. Vigilante justice or righteous rage? The anchor pondered. Polls splitting viewers down party lines, half cheering my guts, half decrying the family implosion. I proved them wrong. All right, not by thriving in their shadow,
But by torching it.
moved to New Orleans, opened a bookstore off Bourbon Street. Shelves stocked with true crime and Southern Gothic. A quiet fuck you to the ghosts. Jake visits sometimes. Sober now. Co-parenting from a Nashville halfway house. We talk weather. Not wounds. The baby's giggles a fragile bridge. Dad rots in federal lockup. Penning letters I burn unread. Mom? She's in assisted living upstate. Dementia stealing the lies before I can. Harlan? Life sentence. But rumors swirl of appeals bought with hidden cash, flipping even from a cell. Was it worth it? The revenge tasted bittersweet. Like chicory coffee, empowering, but laced with what-ifs. Did I avenge Raoul? Or just avenge myself? Save the town from rot? Or doom it to rust? Readers will debate over beers at tailgates. Picking teams like SEC rivalries.
Me?
I sleep sound. Scars faded to silver threads. The Bay's whisper reminding, in America's heartland of dreams deferred. Proving them wrong isn't victory. It's survival. And sometimes, that's the darkest triumph of all.